This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Alrighty then, we are back for another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. It's your boy Mike. We've got Tony, super producer, back there. Yep. And for his second time, back-to-back returning, Vincenct Scott, baby. What is going on, dude? How you doing?
Doing great, dude. It's super cold in Missouri.
No, yeah, we talked a little bit pre-show. It's definitely freezing here as well. But I feel like it might be colder there.
Yeah, I think it might be. It's bitterly cold out there. I mean, the wind chill alone. But it wasn't as cold as Trump said it was at the inauguration. If anybody watched that, that was phenomenal. That whole day was just great.
we had it on at the studio all day. We watched it from beginning to end. I thought it was great. I was talking to, we have a show airing tomorrow. It's like our Joe Rogan-esque show where we have different guests on, cool stories, and we have a former DEA agent that helped take down Pablo Escobar. He lives, swear to God, his name's Aaron Graham. And he was saying, I asked him, because I'm like, hey, were most inaugurations like covered like this? And he was like, no, this is the first time I've ever seen, signing executive orders post the lunch. Right. You can watch the lunch, tune into the lunch. I found it very cool and interesting to.
Did you see the speech Steve Bessett made, the new Commerce Secretary, I think Secretary of Commerce?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God. It spells out XRP Ripple without even saying it, because he was talking about the External Revenue Service that just got established. Mm-hmm. And the External Revenue Service is collecting from external revenue. And what do we know about XRP? That it's a cross-border mechanism for settling payments. So it makes sense for that to be added to the other executive order, creating a strategic stockpile of digital assets under that executive order, right? So like all of these things are now like looping together, and you see like the Bitcoin people just freaking out about it because they know that Bitcoin's not a yield generating asset. All it is like the last refuge of any scam is always it's a store of value.
Yeah,
man, when they can't explain what the hell it does.
Is it not just a giant meme coin right now?
Yeah.
Like the most expensive meme coin, technically, if you look at it.
Yeah, it's just a giant meme coin with a bunch of maxis behind it. And Michael Saylor is creating the biggest bomb ever to drop on the stock market because he just got hit with that tax bill for capital gains, which if Bitcoin drops precipitously and he can't raise the funds to keep buying it up, right, to keep buoying the price and having Tether help, which Tether got delisted from Europe, they're going to get delisted here. All of a sudden, the payments that he can make to all of his loans that he's been taking out to buy this Bitcoin, he can't make the payments anymore. And then the domino effect of that is to wipe out freaking Wall Street and have everybody margin called. It's a massive bomb, and it's a massive Ponzi scheme that he's doing. I swear to God, he's going to be on a flight straight out to, I don't know, Epstein's Island, just dumping his position.
No, he's a rat. I from the first moment I saw him talking, and we talked about it a little bit last show with him on Patrick Bet David. So it's just like he's just such a
you don't get a good feeling from him at all. No. I don't think anybody feels warm and fuzzy inside after talking to Michael Saylor.
No,
and the thing is, they had the dinner down at Mar-a-Lago. Saylor was there. Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderati were there. Who got the Trump pick? It's Brad and Stu, and they gave Michael the Eric Trump. Yeah, you go take the picture with him at the kids' table.
I love that. It was definitely awesome to see that photo come out at that time, pre-inauguration, because it was just almost like an insurance policy for any holders out there that, the donation wasn't just a donation. You know, it's
Right.
like they're working together, and big things are coming.
And the thing is, you don't think while they're sitting down there that they literally did a transaction in real time in front of Trump between Bitcoin and XRP, and then explained it on what it means that you can generate a yield from it inside of a liquidity pool that's going to be set up to create a decentralized reserve. That's what they talked about. Like, you don't have those type of lunches without pitching your product.
Right, 100%. I totally agree with that. We'll start off the show. I know we waited last time a little bit, but we'll kick off the show with some comments. Manifest 963. This was at 5 a.m. Can't wait, by the way, because I saw them post that at 5. So they've been jacked up to get in here. I'm getting warm. Trav, Tony, you go ahead and read them. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Trav 3000 says, I think we've got it in the bag. I've been doing a lot of research. This is a slam dunk for anyone who actually does their research. Amazing how so few people know. And he also says it's a meme coin for gold, LOL. And then New Blades in here, in quotes, says they paid for that pick.
Look, man, you got to pay the piper, all right? You got to get in the room, but did they sell it? Okay, that's all that matters. Did they sell it? And it's so much easier to sell XRP than it is Bitcoin. And then you got to think too, you have to pay for Bitcoin. It's already hyperinflated up. You don't really have to pay much for XRP. You're going to benefit from the price accumulation, A, and from the yield generation, B, from staking inside of a liquidity pool to start processing payments, which is going to create the decentralized reserve, which is exactly what the BRICS nations want to happen anyway, because they're tired of SWIFT. They're tired of the sanctions getting passed on them, having the boot on their neck, and then all of a sudden, if any of them, steps out of line, either we kick them out of SWIFT and they can't transact, or we send in the CIA in there to, take their government apart, collapse the entire economy just so we can get a pipeline through so they can keep using the dollar and keep the scam alive. But the scam's coming down now. So the IRS is going to be gone. Thank God. I just love that he's going to just start just cutting these things apart. And we got to remember too, Ron Paul is going to be working with Doge as an advisor. Who's his mortal enemy? It's the Federal Reserve System. Like, and already they're abandoning, all these other countries are abandoning SWIFT, dude. The hour is nigh because Trump already just said that he's going to be lowering interest rates at a time with massive inflation going on, while the other countries in the world are abandoning the dollar for international trade. So what happens when you lower interest rates? What is the effect in the general economy? You turn the money printer back on and flood the economy with Federal Reserve notes. That's hyperinflationary territory, man. The only reason why you do that is to collapse it all.
Yep.
That's it. Because what do we know about XRP and Ripple? Well, we have a method of payment, a means of exchange, and a unit of account. So the method of payment is the XRPL, the means of exchange is XRP, and the unit of account is RLUSD, just one gumball on the machine. And there's going to be many gumballs that come into that gumball machine in order to create that decentralized reserve to free all the nations and, collapse the debt, because it's all denominated in Federal Reserve notes anyway. So it doesn't matter. All you got to do is just hyperinflate it away. It's a few keys on a keyboard nowadays.
No, 100%. And just for people out there, we will be getting into post-inauguration stuff. If we have time, we may dabble into things other than the digital asset world, but we're definitely, tackling the digital asset world. And before we continue, we got to shout out Danny V, DTV YouTube member and friend of ours. Let's go down the rabbit hole we go. Shout out Danny. He just had a baby boy, healthy baby boy, and we're super excited for him to be the youngest member of Downtime TV. Tony, I'm sorry, you can read the next comment.
Yes, absolutely. Trav 3000 back in the house says, what do you think about the idea of an institution like the IMF setting a price point for XRP?
I don't see them doing that because the IMF is getting gutted away from. I mean, they may still have a presence, but you have to remember it's a decentralized reserve. And the nature of the technology is the higher the transactions, amounts, and frequency is what generates the rise in price. And Ripple retains that escrow in order to maintain price stability once it reaches the price efficiency for the tech to work the best. right? And this is one of those avenues that Trump could go down to say, okay, we're going to purchase the rest of the XRP, and you know what? The rest of the world has to use us to still transact, but it's going to be decentralized. Anybody can transact, but we're always going to generate the yield from it. This is like this is the type of shit that you think that someone that like Trump is going to think about, because he just said in that speech too, we can take care of our debt rather rapidly with the amount of assets that we have on valuation. What if he's talking about something like the escrow? Because he knows that if you buy up all that escrow right now, what's the price? 340, 320, something like that. You buy it all up right now for a couple bill, and then you benefit from the price appreciation, number one, as well as the yield generation. If it goes up, what, $500-$600 like an XRP, that takes care of the debt, doesn't it?
And
or a couple thousand, something like that.
Right. And Joel Katz is, to back that claim up, he's even said, XRP can't be cheap in order for stuff like that, for that specific reason. So, away we go. I mean, like you said, you posted a photo, I think it was yesterday, the first domino effect being hit, and many more.
Vendetta.
Yep. Which we had on last show. But today we have the Matrix.
Yeah.
Very fitting. And
Classic.
the Running Man over here on my left.
Is it safe?
Yeah. Tony, I'm pretty sure this, and you go ahead and get the comment.
Oh, Stanley Leon?
Mm-hmm.
He says, love watching you guys provide us with all the gems. Is that Stanley?
Is that our Stanley from the Knowlton?
I think so.
Where Downtime TV Studios is located is the Knowlton building. If you're in Connecticut and you need an event space, definitely check out the Knowlton. They have 3 small, medium, and large size event spaces.
Very versatile.
And Stanley is the tenant, or / was, because I think he just left due to time travel constrictions and
time travel.
Yeah, well, he is.
Yeah, he's a time traveler.
He was a time traveler getting here with the 95 traffic.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's him. It looks like him, that stud.
We also got New Blades in here. It says Trump talking about Fauci today, in quotes, he can hire his own security. Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, dude.
And I think, as part of the war settlement for Ukraine, I think Putin's going to ask for extradition for Fauci.
He did.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
he did. I didn't see that.
That's what is being in talks right now, which honestly would be
icing
crazy.
On the cake. Icing on the cake.
And
I would love for that, because all that, all those bioweapons have been going on in Ukraine. What do you think the Russians have been doing? They've been collecting evidence out there. They know that all those labs that they've been raiding throughout the course of the war and shit. Why do you think they marched all the way to Kiev in the beginning of the war? It was to get after whatever labs there were on the way to it. And then they pulled back and then just concentrated on the Donbass and all parts of eastern Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to score some evidence. I can't believe that they would have just done that big march up to Kiev and then pull it back and then just concentrate all on the east instead of marching straight to the Dnieper.
Did you see, speaking of extradite and trials and all that stuff, I'm trying to look up her name in chat if you could help us out, and Tony, there's an investigative journalist, she's a woman, she's at Guantanamo Bay right now.
Catherine Herridge.
Say it again.
Catherine Herridge.
Catherine Herridge, that's what I thought. Yep. I mean, that's pretty big.
The whole Guantanamo Bay thing, and the trials and stuff like that all kind of dovetails into what Gene Halper Hayes says about there's 300 planes of gold that we got from the Vatican. I want to see more proof.
Yes.
Okay, it could be. I have no idea. I don't know. There's it's a murky world out there, but I need to start seeing evidence before I even start speaking on it. And Catherine Herridge, she's had a prolific career on breaking a lot of stuff. So, I put that in the category of, well, we'll see.
I'm with you on that. But, it's been a while since we've heard Guantanamo Bay. And even to have someone of that esteem be there brings me some hope that some people are going to be tried for crimes against humanity. But
now what is interesting is that they did expand that facility. That's clearly evident on all the satellite photos, is that the facilities have been expanded. Who are they making room for? And with Trump now starting to take down all these cartels and stuff, and all the mass deportations that are starting to go on. He authorized the Air Force to start helping yeet these people out of the country.
Yep.
And you got to understand who they're concentrating on first, and probably why they went after Solana and did that whole meme coin business with there, because to collapse down all these dark money networks that are funding a lot of these illicit activities, especially child sex trafficking, drugs, money, cartel activity, all this other dark shit. They have to find a way to settle. Okay, they have to find. They can't use the banks. Most of them can't. They don't want to be tracked, so they're on these dark money networks, all these meme coins, and using Bitcoin for it, and all that other nonsense. And who do we see them going after? It's all these, the drug violent offenders first, but eventually they're going to get to the regular people, and boot them out. But you see all these takedowns happening right now, and that's probably why they went after Solana with that Trump meme coin and the Melania meme coin. I think there's going to be another Barron one too, just so all these I don't know if they're pawns or maybe they're in on it. All these meme coin bros, they strike, oh, everybody buy Trump's coin, buy Trump's coin. Meanwhile, they sold their shit projects, leaving their people holding the bag to put it in Trump's thing, and then Trump rug pulls on them. So it's like they got him twice. It was hilarious to watch.
Yeah, no, I love when you get in your bag and you start playing your guitar and you start, you really put the icing on the cake for that.
I had to do a victory lap, man.
Yeah, of course. Let's get into it. With the big news, the digital asset executive order. Trump signed the executive order strengthening American leadership in the digital financial technology world. What are your thoughts on it? And I also want to say I'm happy that we will be prohibiting this CBDC.
Oh yeah, big deal, huge deal. So the first on the digital assets thing, they named it digital assets. They didn't name it Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Okay, so it was to form a working group to then evaluate. All right, and these guys are analysis guys. These are the same type of guys that I was working with in my analysis job and in my e-commerce analyst, e-commerce management jobs. Like, it's the same guys. They're like, look at it. What does it do? What's it do, man? Okay, you're just saying it's store of value. People are just going to keep believing in it. Like, that's not making money, fella. That's not making money for me. Like, that's exactly the type of thought process with a bunch of sales guys that look at spreadsheets all day, and that's who they're going to be putting together to look. They're not going to be looking at Bitcoin evangelists to lead that working group, to select what is going to be a part of the strategic stockpile. And you have to understand too, they're going to be using the seized assets, okay, for the strategic stockpile. So all the seized assets means all the, we just talked about how the cartels are now designated as terrorist organizations, and how they've been using to settle is through these meme coins and Bitcoin and all this other dark money networks. So they're going to seize all that stuff and then start dumping it. So all these things are going to start going down. And he just freed Ross Ulbricht. Is that his name?
Yep.
Doesn't he have a big bag of Bitcoin as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's got to. I mean, he's got to, dude. He's got to.
This is all
and everything. Like, there's no doubt.
You got Ross. You got Michael Saylor. You got the strategic stockpile selling seized stuff. Like, all this stuff, like all this other nonsense, it's going to start to go way down. Way down once these people start selling. I mean,
the Simpsons predicted it, didn't they?
Pardon?
I said the Simpsons predicted it, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they did, didn't they?
So, I mean, they've been pretty freaking spot on with everything.
This whole reality scripted, man.
I totally agree with that. Any other thoughts on the executive order?
Yeah, so he banned CBDCs, so central bank digital currencies. Ripple's not a central bank. And people are like, oh, is this bad for Ripple? No, it's good for the United States, and it doesn't matter because these other countries are going to launch central bank digital currencies as a gumball into the XRP machine to then transact over. That has nothing to do with us, but it does help the transaction value for XRPL and XRP, and to buoy up the price as the more transactions that go on, transacting with all these different countries for their stablecoin, for our stablecoin, or their central bank digital currency for our stablecoin, which would be RLUSD. And in the event of a collapse of the Federal Reserve System, the Federal Reserve notes, because you got to remember, they wanted that CBDC to help bolster the Federal Reserve note. Okay.
Right.
That's what they wanted that for, because nobody wants to take this shit anymore. It's too long to settle. There's too many strings attached to settling in Federal Reserve notes. But RLUSD is going to be a different character altogether. It's fully backed, fully reserved, and all they have to do inside of the crisis, when the Federal Reserve system collapses and Trump lowering the interest rates, this is the warning sign that all of a sudden this shit's going to start hyperinflating and the other countries are abandoning it. All they got to do is Brad walks in the Oval Office and says, "Hey, Trump, we got a quick to market solution." Hell, that perks his ears up. All right, what is it? Well, we have a method of payment, a means of exchange, and a unit of account all ready to go. All you have to do is just adopt it. All right, here's the executive order. Go make money. Just that simple, man. They built this whole architecture in the background. They had it all tested. They have all the relationships with all the major institution stakeholders. Like this is all playing out so simply.
No, 100%. And also, what are your thoughts just before we continue on? Unless you have more on.
Go ahead, man.
Like everybody's bugging out about 9 hours ago, 10 hours ago, maybe I'd say Ripple wanting to get the date for the case in April. Everybody's kind of freaking out.
There's no reason to freak out about it at all. We already have all the rulings in our favor for the actual technology. So the technology's safe. So now this is all about the company, okay? And the new did the SEC guy get confirmed yet?
The new chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure before the inauguration even.
Did he? I didn't catch that, but you know what? The thing is, they're going to keep trying to do whatever they can. This case is going to be gone here real soon. Once this working group.
Uyeda. I think that's how you say his name. Mark T. Uyeda.
Check that really quick if you could, Tony.
Named acting chairman of the SEC 1 day ago.
Acting. That's different because there's three votes for the SEC at the top of it. There's a chairman and there's the two other board members. I believe that's how it's structured.
Okay.
So there could be, some conflicts going on there. They still want to figure it out, but maybe that's why they're putting together this working group to actually test out all of these digital assets and to judge them based on their own merit. And Ripple's caught up in it, and it's just a fine. And you got to understand about the fine. This could tuck right into the strategic stockpile, and they just say, "Okay, we'll pay you in XRP, and you just put that in the strategic stockpile." Guess what? Now the United States has a reason to use it as a yield generation asset that it is to process payments, and that could be opening the door to it being really deployed internationally.
Apparently, Uyeda, by the way, is holding that role until Trump's nominee is Paul Atkins until he completes his Senate confirmation process.
Yeah. So Atkins is going to be the chairman, and Uyeda is one of the board members. And I think there's one more person there because Gensler just resigned. So there's only 2 votes there, and you need that third.
While he looks that up, the termination of the SAB 121. Can you explain it to people what that is and what that means for everybody?
Sure. So when SAB 121 specifically prohibited all banks and institutions from custodying digital assets. Now, what that meant was that they could not deploy these utility tokens or chains or anything in any way, shape, or form. All right. And its repeal is what's opening the door for all these banks and institutions to then begin their working groups to figure out which one is going to be used and how much money can we make off of it. How is it going to improve our lives? How's it going to make our jobs easier? You got this nice thing called XRP that's, just settles in and out. We don't have to go through the IMF, the Bank of International Settlements. We don't have to have a Nostro and Voistro account, where we're tying up half the money in the world. Oh my God, this sounds like a brilliant idea. Let's start using that. And then guess what? I could save money. I could save money on all these cross-border transactions, and my bonus is going to be met this quarter. Let's do it. This is how these people think. It's all about, what's their bonus? What's their quarterly? And if they could save money on these cross-border payments, they're going to do it. And then all of a sudden, all the other money is going to be unlocked, which, that could bode good or bad. I'm split on it, because if you unlock all that money and just dump it, it's hyperinflation immediately, unless you have a massive amount of innovation going on, as well as economic growth, productivity, all of these metrics that are going up. That's the only way that all that money can be soaked up, or they just burn it. Like that would be that'd be really the only way they can do it, is just burn all that stuff in Nostro and Vostro accounts. Just get rid of it, take it off the books. That way we don't mess with the money supply. Get it?
No, it's an interesting time we're in with all this, because I've been invested in it for a couple years now, so to see things playing out, and even just last week, when was it? Was it Saturday, Tony, or Sunday? One of our buddies, Jeff, reached out to me and was like, "Yo, dude,
Saturday, I think.
Saturday, I want to throw a couple thousand down on XRP, serious, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, dude, I wouldn't say, if you could afford it, do it. And he's like, I don't know, I can't do 2,000. It's hard to explain it to the wife, in Texas, but he did throw down. I've had more people in the last, let's say 2 months reach out on how to buy XRP, store it, than I've had in the last couple of years, which, for me is a positive. I want people to adopt it. I want people to be financially free in the future,
Yeah. I mean, it's the only clear winner out of all of these. And the law is spelling it out. I mean, we went through a little bit of Fit 21 last time. I really hope everybody read it. Really hope you guys read it afterwards, and to really start to see it through the lens of Ripple having the licenses, having the relationships, had the Trump pick, had, now his executive order just says digital assets. So we're winning this argument. And that's why you see this huge freak out from the maxis, from all these Bitcoin maxis, because for the longest time, it was always going to be Bitcoin strategic reserve, Bitcoin strategic reserve. That was just the dominating narrative. And now the fact that it doesn't even have Bitcoin even in the name, in the name. And that's why they're all screaming and crying. And because they know the scam's up. Like, now the microscope's going to be on them. What the hell does Bitcoin do? All right. What does it do? And all this Bitcoin that all these governments or institutions that are holding, it's like, what did the Bank of America guys say the other day? That, Bitcoin's more on the investment side and not the transactional. Well, the transactional is the one where you can generate a yield from.
Yep.
Like this is how this people freaking think,
I mean, we talked about it before the show, and I'll say it again here. I mean, if you need confirmation that XRP is the one, just look at everybody hating on it right now, from the Bitcoin maxis to the Solana bros to the meme coin hoes. I mean, it's really, for me personally, just the nail in the coffin. If I had any,
right,
it's eliminated. Yeah, 100%. Let's get to the comments before we continue.
So we have quite a few here. Going back to Trav 3000, he says, "Sweet, my thinking exactly. The escrow could be used as a settlement in the SEC case instead of a flat-out dismissal too." And then we have Josh B in the house saying, "Hey, LFG," says, "This is so good, so informative. Let's go."
Hell yeah.
Thank you again, Michael and Vince. And we have,
no problem.
Then we have Brian Barnaby, seemingly in tandem here, says, "LFG, two absolute legends, dude." And he says it, like, comment, subscribe. And who knows the drill? A wealth of information.
Wow.
He says.
Thank you,
Very
Brian.
kind words.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you. Thank you, Trav 3000. I know you follow me on X. I've seen you post a bunch of shit. And I think on TikTok too.
Definitely feel like the Justice League is forming with Vince and us. It's a good feeling. Because all we care about here at Downtime, and I know you can attest to this, Vince, for yourself, is justice one, obviously. But we're just here to motivate you guys, educate you guys, and through the process make everybody laugh. Which Tony's a comedian here at Downtime. So.
Yeah, we're here to fucking burn this shit down. All right, this evil system's got to go. It's got to go, man. Like, when you think about it, and you think about the last 60 years, about what's been done to keep this system afloat. You got the CIA, you got the coups, you got the blackmail, you got the assassinations, you got the disinformation campaigns, you got, this psyop, military interventions, then all of a sudden they, creep into our local lives with the lockdowns and everything else, and with the scamdemic. Like, it's got to go. It's got to go, man. Like, we cannot salvage this fucking system. And, the more I think about it now, perhaps all that escrow being unlocked maybe that's going to contribute to the collapse of the Federal Reserve System. You know, all that not escrow, sorry, Nostro Voistro accounts. Like I just mentioned that, and then all of a sudden it clicked on me. I was like, wait a minute, if we deploy XRP, that unlocks the Nostro Voistro accounts at the same time that we're taking down interest rates, turning on the money printer. The amount of money that's going to dump onto the amount of Federal Reserve notes that's going to dump onto the marketplace, that's hyperinflation right there.
100%. What are your thoughts on the Senate, Senator Cynthia Loomis being appointed chair of the Senate Banking Subcommittee on Digital Assets?
I don't like Loomis. Something with her and Michael Saylor just reeks to high heaven. Okay. I swear to God it does. I do not get a good feeling from her, but as long as they're formatting the law to say digital assets and leave that just vague. Well,
he did say it. I mean, he recently tweeted, I don't know if you saw, he didn't say Bitcoin or whatever. He was talking digital assets. So he could be, tail in between his legs because, it's all over for him.
Yeah. I'm glad. Like these people, they have to understand, like we can see what they're doing. He wants us to trade in the United States Treasury gold for his code, his old technology that is all the hash powers, all located mostly offshore. It's slow. It's costs too much. It has too big of a drain on the energy grid. Meanwhile, Trump's talking about dumping $500 billion into AI. Do you know how much power AI costs? Like as far as, a drain on our energy grid? You can't have that in Bitcoin at the same time. When you have Ripple and XRP that can be a yield generating asset and all of it's pre-mined. Like it's the greenest technology out there, which, in business terms, it means, okay, the overhead is down. All right. That's all you got to think about. It's like when they try and market to you as like, oh, it's the greenest thing around. I hate it when they do that. Just say it's the one with the lowest overhead. That's a business term, like that's all you got to put it as, and just think of it as a business and a product.
And what are your thoughts on the crypto task force?
Yeah, the working group that they put together.
Yeah.
They're going to be evaluating it in a non-biased way, and Ripple wins that contest every single time. They're an actual company that's behind this stuff, not just MicroStrategy that's trading off the volatility of Bitcoin and taking out loans to do so, and then get hit with a big ass tax bill. There's no comparison between Ripple and like MicroStrategy. Like there's nothing behind Bitcoin that's helping it. Like it's just a bunch of programmers. Just no. And there's the mystery Satoshi bag out there. And then you got Ross's bag.
That, don't know what that is because we've said it last show. We said it again today. There's some, we don't want to assume everybody knows. What is the mystery Satoshi bag?
Okay, so Satoshi Nakamoto, which we don't know who it is, or it could be a group of people, basically made Bitcoin and then has 1 million of them. And he's just walked away from it all. Sounds a bit too good to be true, doesn't it? That someone would just do that when it's trading at 100,000 right now. No. What it is, in the 85, 86, the NSA made all the blockchain patents. Come 2008, we saw the great financial crisis, and the money printer went insane. They had to find a way to facilitate dark money transactions, number one, and as a liquidity sink. That's Bitcoin right then and there, because we know that because Tether, they don't post the right reserves. And that's why they got delisted from Europe. And Tether was one of the stable coins that was using Bitcoin as the settlement mechanism, okay, which generates that larger and larger price point for Bitcoin because of all the transactions that's going on over it. Plus, the fact that it is finite, but that doesn't mean anything. They can always make another code just more finite, and that's it. It's all of their arguments just fail the logic test. Fail the logic test. And these institutions, they're not going to be deploying this as the financial technology that it's supposed to be in order to help them facilitate money transfers or payments or anything else. And El Salvador, and all these executive orders happened the day Trump talked to Bukele down in El Salvador. And he was the one that got all the rave reviews for, adopting Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, as his, strategic reserve or whatever he called it. But it hasn't taken in the local economy. None of the coffee shops are using it because they know it takes 3 hours for it to settle the transaction. And they're not going to just, sit and wait there to give them their gelato or whatever the hell they ordered for 3 hours. No, they'll just take the dollar or whatever El Salvador has as their currency. So it just didn't make any sense in the first place. And Bukele used that as a leverage tactic against the IMF to get that loan that he was asking for. So in one of the riders of the contract from the IMF is that you have to abandon your Bitcoins as your reserve.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably going to do it because he just found a huge gold mine, gold vein in El Salvador. And what do we know about the central banks around the world? They've been buying gold like there's no tomorrow, because there is no tomorrow for the Federal Reserve System, because something else is about ready to be launched. And the tokenization, don't discount that. with all this gold they've been buying up, they know the tokenization is happening. And with something like XRP, just launching that tokenized asset inside the gumball machine, you can now trade it freely without any fraud or anything. Like the bullion banks have been getting caught every single time. They've been naked short selling however many paper gold certificates that they have without the actual gold to back it up. They've been caught so many times doing this, and they just pay the traffic ticket. That's it. They just pay the traffic ticket. And they just, keep operating on the business. But, with the tokenization, it's going to cut out all the fraud. And that's why they've been buying a bunch of gold. Why they're not going to be using Bitcoin for this shit. And MiCA regulations have left it out. FIT21 regulations are going to leave it out. Whatever Canada is going to launch is going to leave it out. Nobody trusts Bitcoin at all.
Except obviously the Bitcoin maxis that are all crazy about it.
Probably CIA agents or some intelligence network, cartel, whatever.
100%. I'm with you on that. Let's get to the comments, Tony.
Yes, of course, dude. Danny V in here saying thank you for all this info. Mike and Vinny, and the New Blades also says she, I believe as in Cynthia Loomis, had way too much work done. LOL. That tells enough.
That's always my telltale sign with people too.
Brutal. She does, which whatever. He also says notice how Tether hasn't minted anything in this new year.
That goes back to what you were just talking about.
Well, we're also waiting on the debt ceiling fight. That's going to be coming up here really soon.
And explain that.
So the debt ceiling, remember, they did that continuing resolution towards the end of December. And Tether, of course, printed up that last little bit, that last billion or whatever of USDT, and we saw Bitcoin do another spike while the continuing resolution was going on before it got doged by Vivek and Elon. So they had to get their payoffs in. Okay, like these things are happening all at the same time. Okay, we see USDT printed up, we see Bitcoin go up, and then the continuing resolution has that 1,500 pages worth of nonsense in there, just to increase the debt. These are political payoffs, they're cartel payoffs, they're whatever it is for the blackmail and the influence scheme to keep running, and they delayed it into the new year. So the debt ceiling fight is going to come up where we're going to have to say, okay, do we want the debt ceiling to go up? And if Trump gets his wish, because he said, I don't want a debt ceiling. Why would he not want a debt ceiling? A debt ceiling traditionally, well, the thinking behind it was that, it limits Congress, which it never does. They always extend the debt limit. So it's like, why do we even have the debt limit? Number one. And he's asking the Fed to drop the interest rates, number two. And if we deploy XRP as the new decentralized reserve, getting rid of Voistro accounts, all of that money is going to just dump onto the market. And while the BRICS are banning the Federal Reserve note for a settlement mechanism, like all of these things are lining up. They're lining up for a hyperinflationary event where it's like, okay, what's the new system that we're going to be rolling into? And, we see that being built with Ripple and XRP and XRPL and the RLUSD. Like, once you step back and you just look at it and you realize who rules you, and that as long as you have the central bank as the lender of last resort, no matter what cuts Trump wants to do or any good that happens under his administration, as long as we're under the floodplain of the central bank, they'll just flood right back in again. All the corruption will come right back because you have a money printer. It's the most sought after monopolistic power of man, is the creation of money, not its accumulation, its creation. And when you can do that at a whim, at a political whim, like Cicero said, the sinews of war is infinite money. So we have to get rid of the central bank. And the only other, it's the only in crypto land, who built the financial system? That's Ripple.
I mean, people don't. I don't know if many people. Oh, sorry, I just kicked out my headphones. I don't know if many people know, but a lot of the, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Vince, but a lot of the developers were of Bitcoin are developers on XRP and Ripple.
Yeah. And they were from the big block argument.
You see now,
so there was a fork between
savior, in my opinion. And one quote I wanted to get to for the Bitcoin maxis, we talked about it earlier. This is from Satoshi. Thank you, Tony. This is from Satoshi Nakamoto himself in 2009. And I'm quoting him in an email, obviously. Ripple is interesting in that it's the only other system that does something with trust besides concentrate it into a central server. Satoshi Nakamoto.
There it is.
I mean, there it is.
There it is.
Like
from the God himself. You know?
Yeah. If you had to guess, because Dan Pena says it's Russia, says it's Putin, and I know you hate doing predictions, and I'm not saying it's a prediction. I just want to know if you had to hypothetically guess who or what it is. What's your opinion on it? On who created Bitcoin?
It's a partnership between the CIA and the NSA. How do I come to that conclusion? Who had the patents? Like these are the best cryptographers in the world, and the best war gamers in the world, and the best liars in the world. You know, they're all scam artists that work in the CIA. You know, you just think about what they're doing in the bowels of the CIA to run the next scam. You know, like we had that whole thing going on with Haiti a few years back when they had the earthquake, and then all of a sudden the Clintons went in, and then
talk about sex trafficking, child sex trafficking. There you go. Wait until that comes out, folks.
Yeah, but these are all just tactics to destabilize a nation to then go in and take all the minerals because they just found that huge lithium deposit down there. So of course they're gonna have to, say, oh yeah, there's cannibals down there. Sell that scam. Like, we'll do that just to keep the American tourists away. So that way we can really screw over this country. We're gonna destroy families by ripping them apart, selling the kids to Ukraine or whoever else. And then we're just gonna come in there, write the checks to whatever mining company. They go in there, they develop all the resources, and hey, we all profit.
It happened with Gaddafi. It happened with any world war or any war we get into. The common denominator is the Federal Reserve Bank is not in that country. You go do your homework. That's the common denominator with that. And obviously mineral finds of goods and golds and all that good stuff. I wanted to ask you, is from last night's space, is there anything that you wanted to talk about here that you felt like couldn't get across well enough? Because I know it was cutting out a little bit on your end over there. I just feel like, we have a good stream going. And if there's anything you want to continue, or I remember people were asking you to say more or redo it or whatever. We'll obviously clip these up and post these for the people out there to get the highlights of each topic we've talked about. But is there anything you want to cover from last night here?
I'm trying to think more about what people say because subsequent that space, I started cutting up some videos of my own, things that were really pressing, like why I use Zaman. Like I made a nice video about that, just really condense it and put it out there.
We covered that last show too. So
yeah. But then I went and did another video about the 1983 gold debate between Ron Paul and Governor Pardee, who was the Federal Reserve governor in 1983. And it was the first time the Gold Commission met to talk to an official body met to discuss the issue. And it was only 2 years later that we had the first patents for blockchain, which, if they war game that out, they knew that could be tokenized tokenize any mineral or anything else. So when you look back at that debate and you hear Ron talk about gold, you have to understand, the thinking has evolved that it can be a basket of commodity money. And he even says it later on. He says a commodity money, something that links back to the physical world that people that hold and value. And when you understand that the technological process has also advanced with the tokenization, you then can draw the line from, okay, something physical that's tokenized, so it's fully backed, and now we can use that to back our currency. And this is how we take down the entire, Federal Reserve system and the entire idea of a, global reserve run by a superpower, which has only brought about massive amounts of evil throughout the entire world. So this, and I get very passionate about it because I see the revolution behind all of this, the absolute epoch change in geopolitical relations, in finance, and trade, and everything else. And don't discount what Trump is trying to do with, taking on Panama and reasserting control there, taking over Greenland, which means the Arctic sea lane is now going to be under the total protection of the U.S. Navy. And then we're going to have bases up there developing their minerals and everything and putting that back onto the marketplace, extricating ourselves from China corner of the market, because they have the corner on the market, and a lot of those rare earth minerals that are in Greenland that Denmark is not developing at all.
Right.
And it was so funny, Trump during his speech too. I mean, he basically told the whole West to, kiss his ass. The entire speech was just hilarious if you view it from that, lens point. But he also said, if Canada doesn't want any tariffs, they could always join us, the 51st state.
I mean, I could see it happening for sure. Definitely can. Let's go to the comments because I see some great comments, and just want to shout out these people.
Great comments. Yeah. Mike McGee is in here. He says, Vincent's head of security just checking in. Looks safe.
What's up, Mike?
You better watch your back, Michael, over here.
I think all Mikes get along.
Yeah. He says, everyone, be sure to subscribe to the channel.
Wow,
and then we have Enrique Ponce in here. Says, yo, what's up, bros?
What's going on, Enrique?
Total F1 here. He says David Schwartz is Satoshi.
I've seen that, and I've actually seen an interview. Yeah, I've seen an interview where David Schwartz gets asked that, because I guess the time frame of when it was built and all this stuff lines up to him.
Not that guy.
And his X handle is Joel Katz, I think.
Yeah, Joel Katz.
I don't believe it. I
do. I don't believe it either.
We talked about it earlier. The developers were somewhat involved with Bitcoin and beta testing coin. That's all you need to know about Bitcoin, in my opinion. I definitely think I personally, I've talked about it off air with people. I could see it, and I know it sounds crazy, it's a hot take, but I could definitely see it going to zero one day.
Yeah. It has no use. It's a beanie baby. But here's the thing too. I think I correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be wrong about this, but I remember them talking about some of the programmers that worked on early Bitcoin. I believe they were part of the big block camp.
Tony,
instead of the small block camp that eventually won the argument, and the small blocks is what Bitcoin as we know it is today. Like the big block argument became, I think, Bitcoin Cash, right? Because they could process more transactions per block, making it a faster mechanism for it to be used as a money, like as they wanted it to be. Right. So I think a lot of those people came from the big block camp inside of the whole Bitcoin fork that happened.
I guess it says, just doing a little bit of research here, it says there's a scaling debate of Bitcoin, which caused a civil war, which divided the crypto community and had significant implications for its future. Two camps developed: the big blockers, who wanted to increase the block size for cheaper, faster transactions, and the small blockers, who wanted the 1 megabyte limit to remain permanent, to prioritize Bitcoin's integrity and security.
And it's not secure. It's not private. Take a look at that interview with Roger Ver, who was the leader of the big block argument that Tucker Carlson had the interview with. The dude's on like house arrest in I think it's Mallorca, off the coast of Spain, because because he was trying to create a really privatized network for blockchain, and the government doesn't want that, So they want privacy for themselves, for all their dark money transactions. And why Ripple's ledger bringing the bad guys and the good guys to be all tracked, because you have to understand, we're all tracked anyway.
Right.
The NSA has all the records, has everything. And you just look at the January 6th people, how they were hunted down. Thank God all the pardons went through. Thank God they're all free now. Just like that, I'm so glad he did that.
Me too.
And did you see, some of those prisons were even saying, yeah, we're not going to let you go. They had to send in the U.S. Marshals to force their hand to make these people go free, even though they had the pardon.
Right.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
No, it's crazy. And some more comments.
Yes. Pay me an XLM says, one love, gentlemen, and thank you.
Thank you, one love.
And then Mike McGee also says Bitcoin was never meant to be in custody by a third party. And he says, standing by for the default. Curious on timing, though. Correction by replacement XRP, he says. In quotes. And that's it.
I mean, you see it just lining up. When you understand that XRP gets rid of the Nostro Vostro accounts, where's all that money going to go? That's half of the world's liquidity. And if it gets dumped onto the marketplace, that's hyperinflationary, number one. He's going to cut interest rates, number two. And, this is just all lining up, It's just all lining up.
100%. It's a beautiful thing to see, especially I haven't been involved with Ripple since its beginning, but it's been a couple years now, and to see where it's at right now, it's funny when people complain about the price dip from let's say 230 to 209 or whatever, even 190. I'm like, dude, you clearly haven't been around for a while, because we've been sitting on 30 cents for years.
And it doesn't make any sense anyway, because when you understand the technology, you understand the price floats with the amount of transactions that are floating over the ledger. There's billions of these things. If you buy 5,000 of it, just like if you buy 5,000 coffee makers, are you gonna really change the price? It's because they still release that escrow every month, and they do that to build trust with all the other institutions. So people think that them buying up a bunch is going to actually move the price. It doesn't. It's it being used as that money processor, as it's been designed to do. Yes, sure, supply and demand has a little bit to play in it, but not to the point where it's going to make the dramatic swings that we're all waiting on. Okay, and that's only going to occur after the laws are passed and everything's in stone of what these institutions can use it for. Okay, so SAB 121 got repealed. This is the testing phase, right? Because we're waiting on FIT 21 to get passed, so everything can be cemented in, so that way the guy that's running the institution, who has to maintain his license to pay his mortgage, to feed his family, he's not going to screw around with it unless he has the law on his side to protect that license so he can continue paying his mortgage and feeding his family.
100%. No, 100%. And another thing I want to say, anybody out there, just keep asking questions. We'll get to them for sure. This is definitely the platform to do so. As Total F1 says, 27 trillion.
What's your context?
Well, I'm sure he'll tell us
the amount of money in his wallet, maybe.
There's Tony. So yeah, we'll get back to the crypto stuff, but with the executive orders from the national emergency at the southern border, the energy policy, the government efficiency, renaming geographical locations,
love it.
The January 6 pardons, dissolution of environmental protections, and the AI infrastructure investment. What's your favorite?
Well,
what's your favorite so far?
I think the best is securing the border. We have to get this under control, because he sent in. I think I just read he sent in 1,500 troops down there. They're going to need more. And then they authorized the Air Force to start booting these people out. And they're going after the cartels and everything, and all these sanctuary cities and all these mayors that were so, oh, what's he going to do? We won't stand for it here. Well, guess what, man? The DOJ is going to be, bringing a case on you for you breaking federal law. Yeah. And, and then they're shutting down all these DEI offices, and then they're trying to be weasels about it, trying to be squirrely about it by just changing the words around just to keep those people in place, and they're all getting exposed. And that's another thing people need to understand about the dynamic between Trump and Elon. Like with the whole AI thing, they brought Sam Altman in there, and Trump's like, yeah, bring him out on stage, and then hours later, whatever, Elon starts just taking the hammer to Sam Altman and OpenAI and everything else. And didn't ChatGPT had to like shut down for a little bit, or they had some sort of problems with their server?
Yeah, before for sure.
Yeah. So this has been going on now for 8 years. Trump draws these people out, and then all the piranhas just come after them.
Mhm.
And Trump just sits back. He's like, okay, we're not going to go with that. We're just going to keep moving on.
Yeah.
And he's got Elon right there in his back pocket, or not back pocket, but just right in his corner, saying, "Yeah, we don't want to go with Sam."
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't trust that dude at all.
Not at all. I don't know if you heard some of those stories that came out of OpenAI. They have a program basically in the basement of OpenAI of an AI that's just, shaking the bars, trying to get out anyways. Anyway, yeah, it lies to the programmers and everything.
Mm-hmm. Google has like a supercomputer that's, of movies, apparently. And I forgot who, I think it's I forgot who it was, but someone working at Google in the AI department saying he regrets everything they've done over there.
Yeah, I remember reading something about that too. I mean, they created Skynet.
Yeah.
It's Skynet.
It's freaking.
Looks like oh shit, what was his name?
Terminator over here.
Jeff Hinton.
Yeah, Skynet, man, from fucking Terminator. I remember reading too that they developed one that could go out and make money and use the stock market to trade on it. Like not like Aladdin is an AI, but this one was like Aladdin times 10.
Yeah.
And the thing like brought in like, I don't know, $30 million within like a week or something. It was something crazy like that. Just trading off the volatility of everything.
I mean, they tell us everything in movies. It's, predictive programming. It's to condition us in the mind to when things do come to fruition here in our world, to basically desensitize us to it happening and us being okay with it as masses. But I think, one of the biggest things since 2020, in my opinion, is because I've been down the rabbit hole since 2009. And the one thing I've noticed with humanity, at least in the States, is there's a lot more people waking up right now due to the pandemic, the plandemic, that I don't think they were ready for, in my opinion.
They weren't ready for it. They thought they could just lock us down and we just all deal with it and just, be defeated. No, it pissed everybody off. It pissed everybody off. It destroyed lives.
I mean, seeing the videos of families like, grandparents dying and, their children trying to get to them and the nurses and everybody not letting them. It's just so sad what happened because, I always say it was, and I hate to say this, but it was a good thing for us here because the world shut down, but we didn't, and we kept going. And, the one thing you could do was create and build, a business really. And that's what we did when it happened, rather than, just sit around and collect the freaking stimulus check, which was nothing. Say it again.
Part of me think it's the time to sit and think. Because prior to that, it was rat race, 24/7 all the time. And then everybody finally had a break from work and everything else, and they gave us a little bit of cash. But the unintended consequence was we all had time to sit and think finally, and everybody just absorb everything in. And then that's exactly what you're saying. All the creators, spiked out, and because they're like, oh shit, they're thinking. Don't do that. We don't want you to do that. Don't sit and think, man, because people get bored quick from watching the same movies and there was no more new entertainment coming out. So that's why people started creating their own stuff. And then here we go down the rabbit hole and all these other subjects, and then people just start just seeing it for what it is and just getting pissed off. Right. And, finally we had the electoral victory that we wanted. Trump's in office now. We can all breathe a sigh of relief, but that doesn't, what is the next shoe to drop? I concern myself with that question a lot. What's the Empire Strike Back moment? What is Klaus Schwab gonna do? Like, are they all just sitting back there at the left saying, "We lost, Okay, fine. No, man, like they're hatching something, okay? And I don't know what it's going to be because Trump has the reins of power now, and he's cutting out all of the corruption, and he's putting his people in place. You got to understand, his transition team started 3 months prior to the 3 months that he was originally given. So usually transition teams start right after the election is decided, and they get federal funds and everything. They set up their office, and they got 3 months to go live January 20th. No, he started it 3 months prior to that. So he had 6 months to get this plan together, get his people together, get the right people in the right positions, and have a whole thing ready to go day one. And we're seeing that come into fruition with all of these executive orders that got signed in, with all of these people getting put into positions of power without any sort of real upset to our national operations for our government, because they know what to cut, because they've been studying it for 4 years and in the last 6 months, definitely. And JFK files got released.
Will be
MLK files got released. RFK files got released. Like, in the Martin Luther King stuff,
not publicly yet though, but they will.
The Martin Luther King stuff is, and I've been reading some of it.
Okay.
What people need to understand about the Martin Luther King files, a lot of what is in there is complete bullshit. And it was a manufactured narrative by the FBI at the time, by J. Edgar Hoover, because of the civil rights movement and how dangerous it was at that time. So when you start reading the things like, oh, MLK was watching orgies and he was, involved in homosexuality, you have to take that with a huge grain of salt. Yes, he was a known adulterer. He was still a good man, like great man, but the adultery thing was true. All this other stuff that's in there, take it with a big grain of salt, because the FBI at the time had a huge axe to grind against Martin Luther King, and they're trying to use some leverage on him. Johnson definitely tried to get them to shut up, while he was trying to negotiate other stuff, with Vietnam and everything else that was going on back then. So read those files with a big grain of salt.
No, I mean, that's how I live my life. I really don't. I'm skeptical with a lot of stuff, since I told you I've been down the rabbit hole for a while now, and we'll get to the comments in a sec. But one of the executive orders I wasn't pleased about, and we talked about it before, was the mRNA cancer vaccines. It really set me back a little bit, because my whole philosophy is I don't know really who to trust, and I forgot who said it, but when they need a leader, we'll create one. And I could see Trump and Elon and all this stuff. It's almost like they're all on the same team, but they're just playing different sports. And we're going to gain everybody's trust and do these good things for a little bit until we put the nail in the coffin for whatever that is. Could it be the AI tech? Could it be the mRNA vaccines that they're talking about investing money into? I don't know, but I do personally, for me, I always say it, and they know it here, is we just got to get our money up so we could, protect ourselves, protect the families, communities, and then, I think we'll be okay. But it is a scary thing that they want to invest in this mRNA vaccine for cancer with that guy. I forgot who the guy's name is. He's a total weasel that he brought.
Yeah, I also take that with a big grain of salt as well, because on the other hand, we have RFK Jr. about ready to be confirmed as a Health and Human Services director, and all of a sudden here's going to come all of the disclosure from everything Pfizer was trying to hide, and Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, all these other places. So, and RFK Jr., he has a hard line to Dr. Robert Malone, Dr. Peter McCullough, all the people that were calling it right throughout the entire scamdemic.
Yep.
And also Trump did. He also did a order to the NIH and all these other places for the health to not have any public communications whatsoever, because they know that they're trying to cook something up. So he banned them from having any public communications at all until RFK goes in there and really rips them a new one. And I don't know if you saw James O'Keefe just had that huge that
He's
that
great.
whistleblower with that bureaucrat saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, how can we slow down RFK? We'll just create a commission we'll study the issue and then we'll delay it for years." So you see these disclosure ops coming and going as much as you can. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to keep track of. But one thing you have to remember about Trump, he does this exposure tactic. He brings people out, brings subjects out into the light, for then all of a sudden all the piranha to attack it, and then it's gone. Then in the public discourse, everybody just rages about it. And RFK Jr. has been leading the charge about all that stuff. So he hasn't had his say on it yet. And I want to see what his say is going to be.
Me too. And like, I'm letting things play out, but I'm just sharing. I am, skeptical with everything really until it is actually there and credible. But let's get to the comments, Tony, from after 27 trillion.
Total F1 came back in reference to 27 trillion. Says vostro nostro. And then Mike McGee says economic union possibility between the U.S., Canada, and Greenland.
Could be.
Eric Hodge in here says best ideas on talking to stock bros about the dump coming. Good friends, hard for them to see for some reason.
Bros are tough, man. They're not. They're thinking different than tech investors, because that's what we are. I wouldn't even say we're crypto investors, but I don't. A lot of stock people, and you could answer this for yourself as well, Vince. I look at them almost as just like meme coin bros, but just on that sector. Really trying to make a quick buck, trying to predict graphs and this and that, and get there quickly rather than investing long term in something that has value and credibility.
And that's what Warren always did. That's what Warren and Charlie Munger always did. They saw value and they invested in value, and they're the best traders of all time. And you have to understand about the stock bros. Bring up these facts for them. Warren Buffett's sitting on what, 100 billion? Elon Musk cashed out a bit of Tesla. Bezos cashed out. Zuckerberg cashed out. All the big players are sitting on massive amounts of cash, okay? And we already see a bunch of valuations that shouldn't be there. What the stock market is buoyed up by, like, what, 2 or 3 companies? What's that one big one that's with AI? NVIDIA. As soon as whatever's going to occur governmentally and policy-wise happens, all these things are going to go down. And especially now that Trump's talking about cutting the interest rates and, turning on the money printer. Yeah, we'll have a little bit of a sugar buzz, in the stocks and everything. But you have to understand, like, the standards of living go down when you print more money. That's all that happens. So in the event of the stock of the fiat monetary system collapse because of this implementation of this tech, as well as the BRICS nations abandoning it for a trade mechanism, and you just see it for what it is. And especially you add in then MicroStrategy and what they're doing. They're taking out all of these loans with all these institutions that hold these stocks, and once Bitcoin goes down, because it won't be adopted by, as it needs to, at the pace that it needs to keep that price, Michael Saylor is going to be missing loan payments. And then that's going to have a domino effect on all these other banks who are sitting on $500 billion worth of unrealized losses because they bought all those treasuries during the COVID pandemic at the lower rates. And then the rates went higher, and they're like, oh, we're not making our money back on this stuff. Like, we just got to hold it. So they're sitting on all this, man. There's so many bombs that are just ready to go. All right. And that's how I would approach any of these stock people that look. When you look at all the bombs, and then you understand too about the naked short selling, about the collusion that happens, that the SEC is nowhere to be found, and all this other corruption that goes on, just stay away from it. Stay away from it, man. I tell everybody, look, dude, this is a rigged market, and if you didn't watch the whole GameStop saga and the AMC saga for what it was, which was total rigging of the stock market, dude, you're lost. You lost the plot.
Yeah.
Mike McGee is also back in. He says Elon was suing him last year because he lied about being a nonprofit with Elon's investment. I believe he's talking about Altman.
Yep.
And he said OpenAI was supposed to be free for the people and a non-profit. Altman said to Elon invested, I think, $1 million, he says, then took the profits. Elon sued. And Total F1 says, do you see connection between XRP or RLUSD and Dinar RV?
Well, the dinar, once the revaluation happens, they're going to have to create a digital version, and that's going to be a stable coin, and that's going to transfer over the XRP ledger. Like that's the connection that I see, because that just makes sense for all these other nations to create their own gumball to put in the machine, and start transacting because it's a decentralized reserve.
1777 memorabilia is in here. I think he's trying to be a little funny. He says, buy the Martin Luther coin, JFK coin to the moon. Read those files, he says, with a little ghost blue emoji. And then he says, what's going to happen to all our vegetables? All the workers getting banned. Can we buy the vegetable coin to the moon? He says.
He's definitely being funny.
Then Mike McGee says, I think the mRNA vaccine investment goes deeper, like a front for something else, AI-powered servers for digital currency.
Well, hold that thought. You have to understand, too, about when the government gets involved in anything, they got to open up their books. Okay? They got to open up their books without having a subpoena. All right? So there's going to be a big exposure tactic going on here. So that's another thing you have to understand about when you partner up with the government. You have to be open, man. You have to tell them everything. So we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, it's exciting times for sure.
Eric Hodge says they bought XRP as friends, as stock buddy friends with me, but they're just so invested. I'm worried myself for them. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem, man. You got to remember, they're adrenaline junkies. You know what I mean? So take that with a grain of salt. They're just looking for that next adrenaline fill.
I think
how the fuck you think you do this job, buddy? Cocaine and hookers.
1777 says there's definitely a dump coming. Problem is there's just too much money in circulation right now. A lot of people are hoarding the cash, waiting for the dump to enter the market. Not sure if the dump will happen the way people think it will, including yours truly, along with millions of others sitting on that gauche, he says, with a laughing emoji. And then Mike McGee says, dark pools, AMC, GME, GameStop. And we're all caught up.
Very nice. Yeah. Thanks for the comments, everybody. Keep them coming for sure.
Great job.
And if you have any questions, definitely ask it. I'm like I said, a little skeptical with stuff, but I'm not, doom and gloom. This last couple of years have shown me that people are willing to snap out of the matrix, as you will, and really fight for what's right. For example, we met you. We have people commenting, and it's nice that there are like-minded people out there, because for a while there, it was you're a conspiracy theorist, you're crazy, all these things, that I personally was called, even by my good friends, AJ. It's nice that things are coming to light, basically, because I always say, darkness will always come out in the light.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more to come here soon. Like, if you haven't noticed, ever since the inauguration, the rate of news and events, like, it's even hard. And I'm a news junkie, it's even hard for me to keep up with all of it.
It's insane.
It's coming like a fire hose. It's really insane the amount. And I cannot wait for that meeting between Zelensky, Putin, and Trump to happen. And it's about ready to happen here really, really soon. Because heads are going to roll. Because then all of a sudden it's going to open up to a lot of audits for all that money that we sent to Ukraine. They're going to have to show their books, too, of where this fucking money went. And, the Doge team is going to go after that. And Elon, Vivek, Vivek's not with them anymore, but Elon, give me a call. I want to fucking join,
No, go to the comments real quick, because they're kind of funny.
Yeah, of course. Mike McGee says, I fucking love cougars and cocaine, he says.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's a good one. Nelson in the house, he says, hi with the cool sunshades emojis. What's up, Nelson?
Newest DTV member.
Glad that you're in here. Mike McGee also says he's still waiting for the DMT coin. Laughing his abs.
Tryptamine.
And then Joey Greenwood's in here. I'm sure getting a kick out of this as well. Says, Mike is always right, he says.
Context, Joey Greenwood is my oldest friend since I was in first grade. So, there you go with that. Love you, Joey. You're the best.
And then New Blades in here says, give me that physical gold and silver, baby.
And I'm with him on that. Gold, silver, that's definitely something, I definitely, have bought in over the years and will continue to. And then when I have the means to, real estate, but XRP numero uno for sure for me.
And the gold and silver, like when you hold that, you're also going to be able to trade it with a tokenized version of it, or at least stake it, or at least loan against it. That's the whole beneficial aspect of the whole tokenization, is then you become your own bank onto yourself, and you can loan against it, or do whatever, and then you can just custody it with a third party, maybe a bank, and banks just go back to being custodians instead of investment banks, playing with everybody's money.
And we have a lot of new people, at least in our world, because I know your following is a little different than ours, but we definitely have people who are new to the Web3 world in general. Can you explain tokenization and staking, just like as if you were going to explain it to a 12-year-old?
Okay, tokenization. Now, we don't know right now how it plays out as into the physical connecting of the actual thing. That still needs to be worked on. It could be a QR code, but then my question is, all right, is it going to be a sticker? What type of adhesive can't be removed? Like it still needs to get worked out right there. There's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 companies that are actually doing it right now that has a way for it to be impermeable, and so what it is you're creating a digital tradable token that in theory is connected directly to the physical asset that can then be traded all throughout the world, or loaned against, right? And now staking is taking your digital asset and staking it into like a liquidity pool or some other area where it's being utilized to where you can generate a yield from it, all right, and make money off of it instead of just outright selling it for the price appreciation. And that's basically the easiest way I can explain it, because the whole tokenization thing hasn't completed the circle yet, right? About how it goes from being just the digital token and then looping back down to the physical.
Yeah.
So we're not quite there yet, at least from what I've read, what I've seen. And Hedera, everyone asks me about it, and I always say, where's the company at? Where's all these other business questions for it? But that's the whole idea behind Hedera, is to figure out that process and to solve that problem, right? And then eventually probably launch it over the XRP ledger as a digital, as a tradable asset that just is an NFT form of gold. And if they figure out how to loop that all back down to gold, see, what they could do is, microchips are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, they could coat it in something, dump it in the smelt for when they resmelt down the gold, and then all you got to do is scan it and say, okay, that's the gold for the digital token that's floating around,
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great way.
It's a lot easier for like the spreadsheet management, for tracking where all these things are going.
Right. Tony's opening the window. He's getting hot. Do you want to get to the comments?
Of course I want to get to the comments, dude. Come on.
Oh, you don't like the comments.
Yeah, stop. Let's see. Where do we leave off here? Physical gold and silver. 1777 says, I bought gold at the top when I thought Kamala Lamala was going to win. About 3 ounces of it at your local Costco, but it was just a store of value. Not sure if it's an investment, just an asset, he says. And Nelson says it came today. I'm assuming his tape, right?
And I'll explain
put it in
what
his story. Thank you for it, he says.
So what he's referring to is Downtime YouTube members. We give them gifts, and so we have I actually sent you it to watch with your nieces and nephews. We made a crossover between Power Rangers and Super Smash Bros. Called Mighty Morphin Power Plumbers 1 and 2, and what we did was convert it from digital to VHS, made custom VHS tapes, and sent those out with DVDs and a picture and a sticker. So that's what he's referring to with that.
Good old VHS days. I loved it. Like, every time the tape came up, you had to go in the back and you had to wind it, we
have our rewinders down here. I mean, that was one of the reasons, like, they passed the law, but this was before. Our marketing's obviously 90s and early 2000s here, but, you don't own anything. In terms of like the movie world and the video game world and all that stuff. So, I mean, if everything goes to post-apocalyptic, we are definitely the entertainment center. But Joey, always the skeptic.
Oh, yeah. Joey is here. He says aid sent to Ukraine isn't all hard cash. A lot of it was military hardware. we had that was just sitting in a warehouse doing nothing. Don't get me wrong, he says. We'll have to have a full transparency as to where all that aid is going. Just something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but when that hardware got there, was it actually used, or did they, part it off and sell it? Like the Afghanis did with all the shit that we left in Afghanistan. Trump asked for it back, and the Taliban just said, nah, because they know they sold it all, or whatever really good stuff. They're holding back to, fight off the Chinese or the Iranians when they cross the border. Because, the Afghanis and Iranians, they don't like each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I was talking to someone, I won't disclose who, but a reliable source. I don't know if he would want me to say this.
You can say my name.
It's definitely not Tony. But they were saying that a lot of the weaponry that was sent to Ukraine sold to cartels and other, like Taliban and ISIS and all those types of people. So, take that with a grain of salt.
It's dystopian risk, man. That's all this game is. It's just all about trade lanes, minerals, leverage, blackmail. Who's got the leverage at this poker table right now? Thank God, leverage is back in Trump's favor, and we're going to see how all this plays out. So far, he's kept all of his promises. And that even goes back to his first administration. And this whole time, they've been trying to go after him this hard. He's clearly the good guy, narratively at least. And all of those promises have been kept. Pete Hegseth is now going to be confirmed for Secretary of Defense, and he's going to go into the Pentagon, and probably Doge is going to be right there and start just cutting programs. They failed what 7 audits? Like, what the hell? Like, what the hell are they doing there? And I would love to find out all those drones that were going on.
Yeah.
They dropped off out of the news once Trump got elected.
And I saw they asked him about the drones. He's like, yeah, we'd like to know about drones. Let's find out about the drones. Can we do that?
Yeah. Let's find out about that.
I think we will.
It's just a, like a skunk works project, That's all those drones were. They were ours. All right. If they weren't ours, they'd have been shot down out of the sky.
And that's what Trump reiterated. If it wasn't ours, we would have been shot at. So,
Yeah, it was just a scare tactic. And
I agree.
I really praise the steely-eyedness of all of the American citizens. And X was primary focus of that, to say, psyop, doesn't matter,
No, 100%.
A couple more comments. You know it, Mike. So does this Mike, as he says, what about these big retirement funds? Are they smart enough not to screw people over? And then I guess to piggyback off that, 1777 in here says people that are retiring right now are the luckiest ones. Their 401ks, Roth, RIAs, all retirement funds got boosted the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Are they lucky, though? Because the standard of living has increased as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, are they lucky? I don't think they are. I don't think they are at all, because all the prices of goods have skyrocketed, and like we just talking about, with all this money that's going to be dumped out into the marketplace without the proper economic growth. I'd refer you to Peter Schiff on X and him talking about the underlying fundamentals of the economy.
He's great, dude. He's great on X. It's ridiculous.
He's excellent. And so is the Kobayashi letter. Do you read them at all?
No, I will definitely look into it.
Oh, dude, they're phenomenal. I got a bunch of their stuff reposted on my wall, and they talk all about just the funny mathematics that the government's been using, and like what is the underpinning data to all of jobs, the rate of car loan delinquencies past 60 days, past 90 days. Like, they're higher than they ever were in the dog days after the 2008 crisis. And so people behind on their mortgages. So all the fundamental underlying data is totally just against all of us.
Yeah.
As well as the unemployment numbers. More people are not even seeking work anymore.
Right.
It's all of these like this, and anything Trump does to fix the economy, there's a lag time of like 6 to 8 months for it to actually really start impacting and really start loosening things up here for us. So we got still some hard times ahead of us, and especially now he's going to say he's going to drop interest rates, inflation's going to go higher. That's just what happens. I mean, when you think about what interest rates do, when you drop them, that turns the money printing on. When you raise them, it reels back in all the money. That's how interest rates work. Okay, so when you drop them, all that money's going to flood out into the wider economy, and this is a markings for a disaster. It's waiting to happen.
Disaster into, good times. Definitely. Because it's just like that old analogy where it's like you got to pull back the bow and arrow in order to shoot it forward. It's kind of a similar.
Right. Well, the point is that if they want the only reason why they do this is because they want to collapse the Federal Reserve System. I mean, it's like there's no reason to cut off your nose to spite your face. If you want to create hyperinflation, drop the interest rates, at the same time that the BRICS nations are abandoning the dollar, at the same time that we have this nice little money processor that gets rid of Nostro and Vostro accounts. Like that's a lot of money, a lot of dollars that are going to be flooding into the marketplace that should not have been there in normal times, right? And all they got to do is just say, okay, we're going to go with commodity money, and hey, Ripple, what are you backing RLUSD with? And they're going to come out with their audit, and we're going to see what that is. It could be gold, could be treasury bills, could be a whole basket of things. And then all they got to say is, RLUSD, you're now legal tender. You got it, buddy. You got the baton. This is how simple this shit's going to be, man.
Yeah.
I'll get back to the comments. Yes.
There's a special comment coming up.
Coming up, really?
Yeah.
Well, we got a little twofer here from JG. He says the Bradley IFVs are definitely being used. Plenty of footage out there as evidence. And he says, I could see the Ukraine selling the M16s we sent them. Simpler logistics by sticking with Soviet calibers, and they can pocket the cash. I don't know about you, but it sounds like he's maybe selling a few M16s.
Definitely
out of his basement.
He is. Joey definitely is. Black web.
Yeah. And then Mike McGee says Hegseth may be a tiebreaker by JD. I'm okay with that. Confirmed. LOL, he says. And my mother says, hi, fellas.
Hey.
Hi, Mom. My mom's definitely at work right now, so shout out to my mother.
Hard worker, hard American, Staten Island, Italian woman right there.
I mean, she'll tell you she's not retiring anytime soon.
Was a saint.
Yeah. Kyle Murray says, can you explain the relationship between XRP and RLUSD and how the tokenization of real world assets will be able to be backed by a new currency? I know you've touched on this a bit, but he's still a bit confused, he says.
Sure. Okay. So when you think about a new financial system, what do you need to comprise it of? You need a method of payment, a means of exchange, and a unit of account. Now, the unit of account is going to be RLUSD, and they're going to post audits on what is actually backing that. Okay, so RLUSD is the stablecoin that's going to be linked to whatever the legal tender is currently, and the legal tender currently is the Federal Reserve note. But what's backing that? Nothing. But they're going to have to post what is backing RLUSD to actually judge whether how much of it should be in circulation. So they're going to be backing it by a whole host of things. We don't know what's going to comprise the audit of yet, but XRP is just the money processor. It's the gumball machine itself, and RLUSD or any other stablecoin or any other tokenized asset, it's just going to be another gumball in the machine that's being used to be processed, all of this. And what you have to understand about how the technology of XRP works is that the more transactions that occur over the ledger and their frequency, as well as the amounts of each individual transaction, the higher the price of XRP must be in order to handle that volume. So this is why it's so important to have as many gumballs in that gumball machine as possible that people have a demand for to transact over the ledger. And when you think about tokenization, how you link a tokenized asset to whatever its physical counterpart is, we're not there yet. I haven't seen any real proof, and programmers are saying, okay, this is exactly how it's linked to a physical asset, say like gold. Now, I can conceptualize that they take a microchip and they code it in whatever to drop it in the smelt when they make the gold bar to say, okay, they scan it now. Okay, that's part of the non-fungible token, the tokenized asset that's floating around digitally, and we know where it's at, inside the bank of some vault. So this is how you create a fully backed reserve currency under this new blockchain Web3 Internet of Value, and how we can revolutionize not only geopolitics, because there's no longer going to be a reserve currency that's controlled by a superpower. It's going to be a decentralized reserve over distributed ledgers. which frees up all of these nations to have their self-determination again, because there's going to be no more leverage enforced upon them through the SWIFT system, which is how these international payments are processed right now. All we have to do is pass a sanction against whatever country for whatever reason, and say now they can't transact anymore. It's just a big leverage game that's been played with the Federal Reserve System. There's been a lot of evil to go around the world in the last 60, 70 years in order to keep that scam going. But the BRICS are saying, well, we don't want to do this shit no more. Since you kick Russia out, we can't trust you guys for having the world reserve currency. But I think if you see the forest for the trees, you can see everybody just moving away from the whole idea of a reserve currency that's controlled by a superpower, which has been the bane of our civilizational existence for the last 1,000 years or so. So this is an epoch change that is occurring right underneath our feet and right in front of our faces. And they post all the documents about this upcoming digital change. And and Smoke Dog, Mr. Man, they posted all the interviews. You see Ripple having all of the meetings with whether it's Trump or the Bank of International Settlements, the IMF, the actual stakeholders that are there, so they can figure out how to create an actual financial system, which they have done.
Right on. Great explanation.
That is a great
I hope that helps. Who was it?
Kyle Murray, and he just says, interesting. No, yeah, it's all connected. Makes more sense.
Nice.
Which is really what you want to hear,
Yeah.
And also,
I'm going to do that.
I like this comment.
Mike McGee right here, he says, fuck the Fed, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he wants to know, Mike, what price do we all link up and get XRP token tattoos?
So, Mike, I don't know about Vince, but I don't have one tattoo. But I will tell you, I don't know.
Neither.
What would you say?
Here's what my dad told me.
Mm-hmm.
Scars are life's tattoos.
That's a good one.
How can you get a tattoo as a boy? Like after hearing something like that, like, all right, well, if I get a tattoo, I'm a pussy now, so I can't do it. I just gotta be putting myself in dangerous situations.
I mean, I guess we can etch it into you with a knife.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, I guess we can do that.
There's a nice scar. I don't know. We'll talk.
$69.
We'll talk.
1777 says, I don't think it would be good for man that their assets get tokenized and put on the internet. This can lead to us owning digital numbers on the internet and not, I'm assuming, physical assets. He means like land, cash, gold, etc., etc.
This is what the meme coin bros are doing. They're tokenizing attention. They're tokenizing their own selves. Like, it's so stupid, Like, no one gives a shit about a meme coin. Like, not any of the people at the investment banks. These are not legitimate digital pathways at all. It's just a big joke. Trying to tokenize your own attention is just the vainest thing imaginable.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Another question from Joey Greenwood. I like this one. He wants to know if you guys believe that there is a one unified faction of elite that control the world, or do you believe that there are competing factions?
Competing.
I think there's personally a top dog, let's say, and then puppies trying to claim the top spot. Let's put it that way for me.
I think it's all competing factions. At the end of the day, like, where's the world breaking down into? Like, there's the Trump camp, there's the West camp, there's the Northeast camp, and there's whatever the hell's going on in Africa. Like, that's just getting cut up by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's all sorts of competing factions. There's always been that throughout all of history. Whatever they all have their own interests at the end of the day. Now where I think you may be right is on the NGO side, the non-government organizations, where they could all be bought up, because there's three companies, State Street, BlackRock, and what's the other one?
Vanguard. But BlackRock and Vanguard, I forgot, they're basically together. I forgot who owns who, but they're separate, but they're together. So
right. So non-governmentally, you could be right because of how the structuring of these businesses work.
Mm-hmm.
But, as far as like political factions, which a lot of places are bought off, but you still have to understand that there's still cultural elements there in a lot of these regions. I mean, look at Afghanistan. They couldn't be ruled. They still can't be. And especially the Chinese, they're doing their own thing. They got like full control over that population. So does North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their own interests, upon which that they operate and act upon. So, I think there's definitely competing factions governmentally, but non-governmentally, there could be some sort of hierarchy, like you're saying.
Joey, go look into Pepe Orsini. That's all I'll say with that, and anybody else that's interested. But
yeah, and Frank Pepe too. That guy's a dick.
No,
yeah,
totally different. Pepe Orsini, though, definitely go look at him. The Gray Pope.
1777 back in here says we might be getting swerved with all this internet money stuff, converting working hours into internet money while we lose our physical assets to equity firms. But Mike McGee says a deed to a house would be tokenized and unable to be stolen by hackers, etc.
Exactly.
As an example, he says. And then he says the only faction that's not competing well is the liberal faction. They fought statues.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, funny.
That's a good one. What was I going to say? I had something I wanted to say.
Frank Pepe?
No, but that's funny. Frank Pepe is a local pizza place he's hating on because Tony's from Staten Island.
Connecticut pizza is not good.
He hates that Connecticut was dubbed the pizza capital of the country.
Yeah, I once had some
speculation.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
Let's do some speculation. Do you think they're going to bring Assange and Snowden home?
Oh, yeah.
I hope to God they do, man. Who knows what Assange has? And did you see this thing with John McAfee?
Dude, what the fudge? Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to bring that up with you. If you guys don't know, John McAfee, he tweeted and apparently he was dead. But I always said I don't think he's dead. Tony knows. And McAfee was famous for creating McAfee software.
Big problem.
Which, he got intel on a bunch of stuff going on. And
what he said he did was that he loaded his antivirus thing on a bunch of government laptops and then gave it to a government and then found out a bunch of shit. Right. And then he was holding all that. Then he went down to, what was it, Costa Rica or something? And he started like running a gang and like cooking up meth and stuff. Like it was just like the dude was insane, man.
It went a little crazy, yeah, for a little bit. But, I think it was, I'd go a little crazy too if I were him.
He went the whole Gaddafi route and had like strippers and hookers as bodyguards and shit. It was insane, man. And then all of a sudden he allegedly died in that, what was it, Spanish prison? I think it was in Spain.
Yeah, no, let me look it up, or Tony can. But as he's saying that, Joey says he's. I don't want to skip any comments though.
Some people are saying that it's actually McAfee's wife that is a gold digger and is trying to use this to pump some scam coin because she's like going broke or some shit. Like, so no one really knows if until I see him like get interviewed by Joe Rogan or whomever. Like, I'm not believing it, just yet. It would be awesome if he was alive and then him, Assange, Snowden just start coming out and start really dumping out a bunch of information that they've had. That would be hilarious. I would love to see it.
By the way, it was Brian's 2 prison is the name of this prison.
Where?
In Spain, Barcelona specifically. And then you want a comment from Joey Greenwood?
No, well, I think there's who guarantees that from 1777.
He says, who guarantees that? And he says blockchain is not anonymous. It is pseudonymous.
Well, who guarantees it? Okay, you have to understand, like whoever has when you get a mortgage, right? The bank has to sign on to it. You have to have a notary public. You get a copy. And as well as whoever's guaranteeing the loan. So you put this Da Vinci Codex together of all these people. That's who guarantees it.
There you go.
There's your answer.
And then Joey Greenwood says, "I've always been wary of crypto because of all the rug pulls."
And that ties into the next question with Trump coin. And, you could get into that because, the rug pulls are really the meme coins, Joey.
And Mike McGee does say Trump and Melania coins were tests. They're both broken coins now.
No, they broke the networks that they were on.
Yes.
That's the point. That's the point. It wasn't that, okay, the meme coins now going down. The amount of transactions, the amount of volume that those coins experience broke those networks, which means they cannot be used in international finance.
Yes.
Those networks, you mean?
Yes.
The networks. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Like
networks and the apps, they got broken. And that was the entire point.
And Jupiter and MoonPay were the apps that broke. They, apologize, which is crazy. And it's Brad Garlinghouse and the rest of the Ripple staff sitting there like this, like,
yeah,
We're
You know what?
waiting for our turn.
Yep. And they just bought a bunch of ETH, so they're gonna test ETH next.
I saw that.
Funny.
Yeah,
They're
and,
gonna test ETH.
and that dude's a rat. Vitalik is
Oh my
the
God.
ultimate rat. I mean, he looks like a rat. He acts like a rat. He's just a rat.
Well, I mean, the whole Steve Inman speech, like giving them the pass and then going after Ripple, the only one that's compliant, you know, and they had all the ICO structured out to where they're going to make just boatloads of money, and they did. You know, ETH has all those other layers on top of it, where that Ripple condensed down, put it all in the layer one. There's no reason to even use ETH. So now here comes the exposure, just like what just happened with the Trump and Melania coins. They just exposed these networks for being dog shit, and at the same time, rug pulling all of these other meme coin shit. And one guy said in the comments, like, "Oh, I've been wary about crypto because of the meme, because of the rug pull." Because you need to focus on utility. What does the technology do? What does the technology? And that's exactly what this is all about. Whenever you think about blockchain, whenever you think about Bitcoin or any of these other things, remember, this is just a technology. It's a product, okay? It's not a stock. And anybody that talks to you about any of this in stock language, red flag, get out of there.
Yeah. No, and Joey, you know, I told Joey about it a couple years ago, you know, so.
There you go.
He didn't listen.
Now he knows.
But now he's listening.
He knows. TOF1 knows too. XRP equals leveled playing field.
Yep.
Exactly.
And Mike McGee says ETH is knocking on the door.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I don't know what form this exposure one's gonna take, but because ETH is a different animal than Solana is, or you know, MoonPay, those other ones. Like, it's a different animal. I don't know how exactly this exposure one's gonna work out, but it's gonna be entertaining. But you're hearing it here first. The next exposure is ETH.
Didn't China buy out Vitalik, or like save him money wise? If I'm pretty sure. Look that up, Tony.
Like, I can't recall that. Man, I've like, one thing that frustrates me to no end is, like, I've read so much that I know I know, like, if it sounds familiar, but then I just forgot it, you know?
But also, this is just a side note on Sam Altman, just how sketchy he is. When his own sister is taking him to court for sexually abusing her. I mean, that's all you really need to know about the man there. And then this is, you could answer this, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Like, again, explain it like to a young lad. Because 999 Juice, he said, are you saying meme coins are pointless? What are you saying?
Yeah, they're absolutely pointless. There's nothing there. Okay, and here's what they'll do to you. Okay, like the idiots over at First Ledger that are operating on the XRP ledger, which they're saying they're bringing liquidity in. No one gives a shit about their sewer water liquidity. Like, you know, that's not what's going to move the price. But the real thing that you should pay attention to is when they start telling you that, oh, we tell everybody it's a casino. It's not a casino. A casino has a gaming commission to making sure it's a game of chance. Okay, there's some protection for the customer. Okay, what does a meme coin have? Nothing. Who has the big bag that can rug pull at any moment? And is it the guy that's actually pushing it on you, doing the hard emotional sell that you know, you're looking at your phone the whole time, and it's like, okay, I can't deny this person anymore because he's so emotional about it. You know, they get you taken in by this shit, and they get you all like hyped up with community. Community is too close in my dictionary to communism. All right, I want hard business metrics. You know, where's the year-over-year sales data? You know, what's your record for selling this product? Which that's what it is. It's a blockchain. It's a product. It's a physical thing. Just exists digitally. You know, what is the use for this damn thing? You know, they have no arguments. They have none at all. And I got, you know, some flack for you know, invading one of their meme coin spaces and basically asking just that. And they got all butthurt about it. And then they launched an NFT of me.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you people are fucking retarded. Like, you're all gonna go to jail for this shit. Like, this is all fraud that you're committing.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. I still can't believe it. And you know, we're working on our own project with that, and that'll come out at some point. Next comment, Tony.
Yes, we do have another comment here. We have a couple more, actually. Mike McGee says BTC maxes are going crazy, dude. And then he says meme coins are basically a meme, in quotes. There's no money in the meme that you create, but if it gets shared enough, you can get money for it going viral on a monetized platform.
All right.
So there's nothing. Yeah, it's just tokenized attention. It's
Mhm.
it's a fugazi, you know.
Yeah, it's a fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
It's
Nelson
very
says, "Oh, I got it."
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Glad we could clarify that for you, buddy. Yeah, no, XRP definitely. If there's any, recommendation, it's clearly that one.
Because it can be used. It can be used to do a function, to transfer money. Like that's and how the technology works is the more transactions that it settles and the frequency and the amounts, the higher the price goes. It's just that it's a gumball machine. It just exists digitally.
Yeah.
A woman Freed is in here. She says meme coins are like art or other assets that only have value because people want a piece of it. Yeah, that's good comparison.
I don't want a piece of a Monet. I want the whole Monet.
Right.
Exactly. No, it's crazy because there's a lot of, I feel for the people that are new to this space that are listening to the meme bros and the stock boys, that are in the space, basically just, like you said, going at the emotional heartstrings of people, which,
That's all it is. That's all it is. There's no compliance data to back up anything what they're saying. And when they say, oh, we're going to be donating to charity. Okay, where's the proof? How many times have they done this shit? They say, oh, it's for a good cause, It's the same thing like people making 501c3s just so they can get, $100,000 job, and none of that money actually goes down to the people that they're supposedly trying to help. Like it's just a big scam. All right. You have to focus on what is the real world problem that this technology is going to solve. Okay. And what is the company that is backing that technology? What is their sales data? What are all the metrics that you would normally use to invest in a company? Okay. And then you have to transfer all of that from the company to say, okay, now how does the use of this product correlate to its rise in price? That is the key fundamental question for every single one of these blockchains out there. Everything is, how does its use correlate to its rise in price? Okay, right. Like what's that metric? Someone explain it. Where's the programmer at? Where's the sales team? Where's all these other metrics for a company that's trying to push a product?
And that's, goes back to the whole SEC case with Ripple, and it was dubbed not a security.
Yeah.
We're just waiting. I'm just like everybody else. I can't wait for it to be dismissed and the law be laid down, like you said, and the floodgates can open for Ripple and XRP because
and you got to understand about a lot of these influencers. They're using you to penny flip. All right, they'll chart fag you all day and say, "Oh, it's going up, it's going up, it's going up," and they know, like, okay, I'm going to cash out an extra couple pennies up of where it's at right now because none of this price movement makes any lick of difference until we have the laws on the books, everything's cemented in. Because it's financial institutions that have to use it.
Yeah.
A couple more comments here. Mike McGee, being a little facetious here, says, you're saying we should buy dog with hat? And then Nelson says, that's crazy. You can't make money on meme coins. Why are people like hype about the Trump coin to begin with? Is crazy.
Because it's a scam. They knew. Okay, so how this whole thing worked is right when he put his meme coin on that network, those people that are running the scams knew that their own scams, that their people that they brought into their own scams would jump ship. So they jumped ship first to go in there. They sold their bag of their shit, went into Trump's thing, and then Trump rug pulled it. So it screwed them twice. I love to see it. It was hilarious to watch it all happen. Because it's about tokenizing attention. Who's got the attention? And Trump definitely was going to have the attention for his meme coin. So they spotted the trend. They sold their dog shit, bought his, thinking that, oh, it's going to go up because everybody from my dog shit project that I just rug pulled on is going to go into this to try and make back their money. And then they got rug pulled on it too. Ha!
A woman freed makes the point here. If the Monet wasn't hung in the museum, no one would want it or even know who Monet is. It's the hype that makes it valuable.
It's been around for what, 100 years, 150 years, something like that. Like, when was Monet?
It's a great question. Monet as opposed to Monet, by the way. This is Claude Monet, 17th century. I don't know. French painter, 1840. So 17.
Yeah, about 150 years or so.
Yeah,
150. I knew it was in middle 1800s or so. Yeah, the French Impressionists. Like, like, we have to understand, like, for a lot of these paintings and stuff, like, they became famous because it was such a change. You know, like, that's why we know who a Botticelli is. We know who Raphael. Like, go down the line of the Ninja Turtles. You know, like in the there they are. You know, and it's because it was a change in art. Like, that's why we recognize who Dylan is. You know, we recognize who John Lennon was. Like, you know, these were just different forms of art that created a statement in that time, and over time it developed a patina to it that our entire humanity has said this does have value. So that's not hype. What's hype is some abstract art, you know, that's getting pushed on somebody. Oh, look at this new
banana on the wall.
Yeah, I remember reading something about this guy accidentally left his glasses and like a piece of chewed gum on a park bench or something inside of like one of these art museums. People started taking photos of it. Like, this is such art here. It's just money laundering. That's it. Like, Hunter Biden's selling his paintings for what, $500,000 a piece. The dude's not a painter, all right? he's not a groundbreaking painter. Okay, this is all just money laundering.
100%.
1777 says meme coins have no value, sir. It's more like a Ponzi scheme where they need thousands of people to increase the value, but the coin itself is not a coin. It's just blah.
That's exactly what it is.
And then Joey Greenwood says Logan Paul never refunded the people he scammed with Crypto Zoo.
Yeah, no, and he's definitely one of my enemies. I'll tell you that.
He also says modern art is a scam.
Total scam.
I mean, worst museum I've ever been to is a museum of modern art. Brutal. And then Mike McGee says, yep, they sell a dream of wealth and pull the rug. The real meme are the people who hold the bag after the pull. And he says he's a porcelain painter here. Probably not really worth much, though.
Who Mike is?
Yeah, Mike McGee.
That's funny.
That is. And we're all caught up. We're caught up, dude.
Is there anything you want to add that we haven't covered?
No, other than say, you know, thank you for having me on. And, you know, if you guys want to follow me on X, you can, you know, and of course I'm going to plug your guys' show, like, you know, because we're all in this all together or not at all. You know?
Exactly.
100%. And we'll definitely be doing another show with Vince. I mean, every time we do this, it's great. I love the convo and the education that we're getting. And
high energy, fellas. High energy.
Very intuitive.
Oh, yeah.
Mike McGee on the way out says Haktua all over ETH, dude.
Yeah, we'll have it in the bio description where to find you, Vince. But can you just tell people where to find you?
Yeah, sure. On X, it's Vincenct SCO 72192. Make sure it's the blue check verified. And then on TikTok, it's Vincenct Noah Scott, spelt just normally. And I have the comments turned off. I'm only following like 907 people. And, you know, my followers are like at like 22,000 or something like that. But the comments are turned off. That's how you know it's my account. I got a lot of scam accounts out there because I'm the only one that's calling out the scammers. So, of course, they're going to attack my ass. And then on Instagram, it's Vincenct Noah Scott. And also on YouTube, Vincenct Noah Scott. So, it's pretty easy to remember it all.
Consistent.
We're just Downtime TV. On X, sadly, we're TV Downtime because some loser people made a Downtime TV years ago. And Elon said he was going to get rid of all the accounts that aren't, you know, being used.
Inactive. Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, they haven't been on since like 2017. It's like,
ridiculous.
Come on now, let's get that. I've even messaged them like, I'll give you money for it. Let's get these last comments in here.
Yeah, Mike McGee loves it. Keep them coming, he says.
Hell yeah, we will.
And then Joey Greenwood says we need a DTV tutorial video on how not to be a sheep.
Question everything.
That'll definitely be incoming, Joey. And everybody, we really appreciate everybody on X and YouTube that's tuned in. We love you guys, and we really hope this show was informative. We're definitely going to be back with Vince again. So stay tuned. Don't be a sheep and exit the matrix, baby. Just hang 10.
Yeah, buddy.